Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300 510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is: explain the role of MPLS in service provider networks and list some of its benefits. Your answer should be: MPLS plays a crucial role in service provider networks by providing traffic engineering, quality of service QoS, and virtual private network VPN services. Some benefits of MPLS include improved scalability, traffic prioritization, network convergence, and support for various applications such as video and voice. Our next interview question is: what are the key components of MPLS network and how do they interact with each other? Your answer should be: the key components of an MPLS network include label switching routers LSRs, label edge routers LERs, label distribution protocol LDP, or RSVPTE for label distribution, and the MPLS forwarding table. LSRs forward packets based on labels. LERs assign labels to packets entering the MPLS network. LDP or RSVPTE distribute labels between LSRs, and the MPLS forwarding table maps labels to outgoing interfaces. Our next interview question is: what is the difference between MPLS L3 VPN, Layer 3 VPN, and MPLS L2 VPN, Layer 2 VPN? Your answer should be: MPLS L3 VPN provides Layer 3 connectivity between multiple sites or customers over a service provider network, allowing each site to maintain its own routing table and IP addresses. MPLS L2 VPN, on the other hand, provides Layer 2 connectivity between sites or customers, extending Ethernet or VLAN connectivity over the service provider network. Our next interview question is: how does MPLS traffic engineering TE optimize network resource utilization, and what are its key features? Your answer should be: MPLS traffic engineering optimizes network resource utilization by dynamically routing traffic along predefined paths based on traffic engineering constraints and requirements. Its key features include constraint-based routing label distribution protocol CRLDP or RSVP-TE for path setup, traffic engineering database TED for network topology information, and path computation element PCE for centralized path computation. Our next interview question is: what is MPLS Fast Reroute FRR and how does it enhance network resiliency? Your answer should be: MPLS Fast Reroute provides fast protection against link or node failures in MPLS networks by pre-computing backup paths and rerouting traffic in case of a failure. It enhances network resiliency by minimizing service disruption and reducing the impact of transient failures on network convergence. If you are preparing for any Cisco based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300 510. You can download the complete list of CCNA based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is: how does BGP route reflectors handle the propagation of BGP route updates in a network? Your answer should be: BGP route reflectors reflect BGP route updates from one set of routers to other routers within the same AS. They help in scaling iBGP deployments by reducing the number of required iBGP pairings. Route reflectors receive updates from clients, modify the BGP attributes, and reflect the updates to their clients and non-client peers. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of the BGP ORF outbound route filtering capability, and how does it enhance BGP deployments? Your answer should be: BGP ORF is a capability that allows a BGP router to inform its peers about the routes it has received from them. It helps in outbound route filtering, enabling routers to share information about the routes they accept or reject. BGP ORF enhances BGP deployments by providing a mechanism for routers to better control the routers they advertise to their peers. Our next interview question is: how is BGP path manipulation used for traffic engineering, and what are common BGP attributes involved in this process? Your answer should be: BGP path manipulation is used for traffic engineering to influence the selection of a specific path for traffic to follow. Common BGP attributes involved in path manipulation include AS path prepending, where AS path information is artificially lengthened or shortened to influence route preference, and MED multi-exit discriminator, which can be used to influence the exit point for traffic. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of the BGP weight attribute, and how is it applied in BGP route selection? Your answer should be: the BGP weight attribute is a Cisco specific attribute used to influence the route selection process within a single BGP router. A higher weight value makes a route more preferred. It is local attribute and is not advertised to other BGP routers. The weight attributes is typically used for internal administrative purposes within an AS. Our next interview question is explain the concept of BGP soft reconfiguration and how it addresses the need for dynamic BGP configuration updates without resetting the BGP session. Your answer should be BGP soft reconfiguration is a mechanism that allows a BGP router to maintain a separate table for storing received BGP routes without impacting the operational BGP table. It enables dynamic BGP configuration updates without resetting the BGP session. Soft reconfiguration is used to avoid the need for a hard reset of the BGP session when applying changes to BGP policies or filters. If you are preparing for any Cisco based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300-510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is explain the concept of BGP communities and provide examples of how they are used in network deployments. Your answer should be BGP communities are tags or labels attached to BGP routes to provide additional information or instructions to BGP routers within the network. They are used for policy control, traffic engineering, and route manipulation. Examples of BGP community uses include setting local preference values, controlling route propagation, and implementing traffic filtering and prioritization. Our next interview question is what is the purpose of BGP route dampening and how does it mitigate route instability in BGP networks? Your answer should be BGP route dampening is technique used to mitigate route instability caused by frequent route flapping or updates in BGP networks. It involves temporarily suppressing unstable routes based on predefined stability parameters such as the number of route flaps and the decay interval. BGP route dampening helps improve network stability and reduces the impact of route instability on routing convergence. Our next interview question is what is BGP prefix hijacking and how can it be prevented or mitigated in BGP deployments? Your answer should be BGP prefix hijacking is a security vulnerability where an attacker advertises IP prefixes that they do not own or control, potentially disrupting network traffic or intercepting data. BGP prefix hijacking can be prevented or mitigated in BGP deployments through techniques such as prefix filtering, route validation using RPKI, that is Resource Public Key Infrastructure, BGP origin validation, and BGP route origin validation. Our next interview question is: explain the concept of BGP route filtering and provide examples of filtering criteria used in BGP deployments. Your answer should be: BGP route filtering is the process of controlling which BGP routes are accepted, advertised, or rejected based on specific criteria such as prefix length, AS path, next hop, community values, or route attributes. Examples of filtering criteria used in BGP deployments include prefix lists, AS path access lists, route maps, and community lists, which allow operators to implement routing policies and control route propagation. Our next interview question is: what are the differences between BGP add path and BGP multipath? And how do they improve route selection in BGP deployments? Your answer should be: BGP add path and BGP multipath are techniques used to improve route selection in BGP deployments by allowing routers to install and use multiple base paths for the same destination prefix. BGP add path allows routers to advertise multiple best paths to their peers, while BGP multipath allows routers to install multiple best paths in the routing table and load balance traffic across them. BGP multipath typically requires ECMP equal cost multipath support in the network. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300-510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is: what is the purpose of the BGP-AS override feature and when is it used in BGP deployments? Your answer should be: BGP-AS override is a feature used in scenarios where an AS is multi-homed to multiple providers, and the provider networks use different AS numbers. When a BGP router receives a route from one provider and advertises it to another, the AS number is typically retained. BGP AS override allows the router to override the AS number when advertising the route to the second provider, ensuring proper BGP route propagation. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of BGP flow specification and how does it enhance traffic filtering and control in BGP deployments? Your answer should be: BGP flow spec is an extension to BGP that allows the dissemination of traffic flow specification rules. It's dissemination of traffic flow specification rules. It enhances traffic filtering and control in BGP deployments by enabling routers to filter or redirect traffic based on various attributes such as source destination IP address or source destination port, protocol type, and packet length. BGP FlowSpec provides fine-grained control over traffic forwarding, allowing operators to mitigate DDoS attacks and implement traffic policies more effectively. Our next interview question is explain the concept of BGP PIC age prefix independent convergence age and its role in enhancing network resiliency in BGP deployments. Your answer should be BGP PIC age is a feature that enhances network resiliency in BGP deployments by pre-computing backup paths for BGP prefixes at the edge of the network. It allows routers to quickly switch traffic to pre-computed backup paths in case of link or node failures, minimizing service disruption and improving network convergence time. BGP PIC Edge enhances network reliability by providing fast rerouting capabilities and reducing the impact of failures on traffic forwarding. Our next interview question is what are the benefits of using BGP add path in BGP deployments and how does it improve route selection and load balancing? Your answer should be BGP add path is a feature that allows BGP routers to advertise multiple best paths to the same destination prefix to their peers. It improves route selection and load balancing by providing redundant paths and enabling routers to install multiple best paths in the routing table. BGP add path enhances network resiliency, optimizes traffic distribution, and improves load balancing across multiple paths, leading to better resource utilization and network performance. If you are preparing for any Cisco based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300 510. You can download the complete list of CCNA based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is what is BGP route reflection and how does it help scale IBGP deployments? Your answer should be BGP route reflection is a technique used to scale IBGP, that is internal BGP, deployments within an autonomous system AS by reducing the number of required IBGP pairings. It involves configuring certain routers as route reflectors to reflect BGP route updates to other routers within the same AS, eliminating the need for full mesh IBGP pairings and improving network scalability and manageability. Our next interview question is what is BGP TTL security check and how does it protect against BGP session hijacking attacks? Your answer should be BGP TTL time to leave security check is security mechanism used to protect against BGP session hijacking attacks by verifying the TTL value of incoming BGP packets. It ensures that BGP packets have a TTL value within a certain range, indicating that they are originating from a nearby neighbor router and not from a remote attacker attempting to hijack the BGP session. Our next interview question is, what is BGP route policy enforcement and how is it implemented in BGP deployments? Your answer should be BGP route policy enforcement involves applying routing policies and constraints to BGP routes to control their advertisement, selection, and propagation within the network. It is implemented in BGP deployments using techniques such as route maps, prefix lists, AS path access lists, and community lists to enforce specific routing policies, traffic engineering requirements, and security controls. Our next interview question is, how does BGP route dampening help mitigate the impact of route instability and what are its parameters? Your answer should be BGP route dampening is a technique used to mitigate the impact of route instability caused by frequent route flapping or updates in BGP networks. It involves temporarily suppressing unstable routes based on predefined stability parameters such as the number of route flaps, reuse penalty, suppress limit, and decay interval. BGP route dampening helps improve network stability and reduces the impact of route instability on routing convergence. Our next interview question is, what is MPLS multi-protocol label switching and how does it differ from traditional IP routing? Your answer should be MPLS is a high performance routing technique that operates at the data link layer on the OSI model. It differs from traditional IP routing by using labels to forward packets along predetermined paths known as label switched paths (LSPs) rather than relying solely on destination IP addresses for packet forwarding. If you are preparing for any Cisco based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300 510. You can download the complete list of CCNA based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on service provider advanced routing solutions is, what does BGP route reflectors improve scalability in iBGP deployments and what are the key considerations when deploying route reflectors in large scale networks? Your answer should be BGP route reflectors improve scalability in iBGP deployments by reducing the number of required IBGP peerings within an autonomous system AS. They facilitate hierarchical IBGP designs where route reflectors reflect BGP route updates to other routers within the same AS, eliminating the need for a full maze of IBGP peerings. Key considerations when deploying route reflectors in large-scale networks include route reflector placement for optimal path selection, route reflector redundancy for high availability, and scalability of route reflector clusters to handle increasing route volumes. Our next interview question is: what is the role of BGP confederations in scaling IBGP deployments, and how does it differ from using BGP route reflectors? Your answer should be: BGP confederations are a technique used to scale IBGP deployments within a large autonomous system AS by dividing the AS into smaller sub-ASs. Routers within each sub-AS peer with each other using eBGP, reducing the IBGP maze size. BGP confederations differ from using BGP route reflectors in that confederations introduce logical segmentation of the AS while route reflectors maintain a single AS but reduce the complexity of IBGP peerings by reflecting route updates. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of BGP TTL security check, and how does it protect against BGP session hijacking attacks? Your answer should be: BGP TTL security check is a security mechanism used to protect against BGP session hijacking attacks by verifying the time to leave TTL value of incoming BGP packets. It ensures that BGP packets have a valid TTL value within an acceptable range, indicating that they are originating from nearby BGP pairs and not from remote attackers attempting to hijack the BGP session. BGP TTL security check protects against spoofed BGP packets and helps verify the authenticity of BGP updates received from neighboring routers. Our next interview question is: what is BGP conditional advertisement, and how is it used to control route advertisement based on specific conditions or triggers? Your answer should be: BGP conditional advertisement is a feature that allows routers to control the advertisement of BGP routes based on specific conditions or triggers. It enables routers to advertise or withdraw BGP routes dynamically in response to changes in network conditions, route availability, or policy requirements. BGP conditional advertisement provides flexibility in route advertisement and allows operators to implement conditional routing policies based on various criteria such as route reachability, next hop availability, or AS path attributes. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300-510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is: explain the concept of BGP route reflectors and their role in scaling IBGP deployments. Your answer should be: BGP route reflectors are devices within an autonomous system AS that reflect BGP route updates to other routers within the same AS, reducing the need for full mesh IBGP peerings. They help scale IBGP deployments by simplifying the BGP topology and reducing the number of BGP peerings required, improving network scalability and manageability. Our next interview question is: what are the differences between BGP route reflection and BGP confederations in terms of scaling IBGP deployments? Your answer should be: BGP route reflection and BGP confederations are two techniques used to scale IBGP deployments. Route reflection involves configuring certain routers as route reflectors to reflect BGP routers to other routers within the same AS, while BGP confederations involve dividing the AS into smaller sub-ASs and using eBGP peering between them. Route reflection is simpler to implement but may lead to route reflection clusters, while confederations provide better isolation but require additional configuration. Our next interview question is: how does BGP load balancing work, and what are some methods for achieving load balancing in BGP? Your answer should be: BGP load balancing involves distributing traffic across multiple equal cost paths (ECMP) to optimize network resource utilization and improve network performance. Methods for achieving load balancing in BGP include per destination load balancing, per packet load balancing, and per flow load balancing, which depend on the network topology and hardware capabilities. Our next interview question is: what is BGP route redistribution and when is it used in network deployments? Your answer should be: BGP route redistribution is the process of exchanging routing information between BGP and other routing protocols such as OSPF or EIGRP to enable seamless communication between different parts of the network. It is used in network deployments where multiple routing domains or protocols coexist, allowing BGP to learn routes from other protocols and vice versa. Our next interview question is: what is BGP route aggregation and how does it help optimize BGP routing tables? Your answer should be: BGP route aggregation, also known as route summarization, involves combining multiple BGP routes into a single summarized route to reduce the size of BGP routing tables and minimize routing overhead. It helps optimize BGP routing tables by reducing the number of prefixes advertised and improving routing table scalability and convergence. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300-510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is: explain the purpose of BGP Configuration ID and how it is used in BGP configurations for path selection. Your answer should be: BGP Configuration ID is a BGP attribute used in BGP configurations to distinguish between routes learned from different sub-ASs within the configuration. It is assigned to routes when they are advised between sub-ASs and is used in path selection to identify the originating sub-AS of a route within the configuration. BGP Configuration ID helps maintain route separation and path diversity within the configuration and facilitates path selection based on configuration specific criteria. Our next interview question is: what is the role of BGP communities in BGP deployments and how are they used for traffic engineering, policy control, and route manipulation? Your answer should be: BGP communities are tags or labels attached to BGP routes to provide additional information or instructions to BGP routers within the network. They are used in BGP deployments for traffic engineering, policy control, and route manipulation by defining specific behaviors or actions for routes based on community values. BGP communities enable operators to implement granular routing policies, control route propagation, and influence traffic routing based on community attributes assigned to BGP routes. Our next interview question is: what is BGP Graceful Restart and how does it improve network resiliency during BGP router restarts? Your answer should be: BGP Graceful Restart is a mechanism that allows BGP routers to restart without causing a disruption in BGP routing. During a restart, a router retains in BGP routing table and forwarding information, continues to forward traffic based on the last known state and signals its neighbors about the restart. Neighbors maintain the BGP session and temporarily takes over routing responsibilities, ensuring continuous packet forwarding during the restart process and enhancing network resiliency. Our next interview question is explain the role of BGP monitoring protocols such as BGP monitoring protocol BMP and BGP-LS BGP link state in BGP deployments. Your answer should be BGP monitoring protocols such as BGP monitoring protocol BMP and BGP-LS BGP link state provide mechanisms for monitoring and analyzing BGP routing information within a network. BMP allows routers to export BGP routing information to a monitoring system, enabling real-time monitoring, analysis, and troubleshooting of BGP routing behavior. BGP-LS is an extension to BGP that enables the dissemination of link state information, allowing routers to exchange detailed topology information and support advanced traffic engineering and network optimization techniques. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300-510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is: what is BGP route filtering and why is it important in BGP deployments? Your answer should be BGP route filtering is the process of controlling which BGP routes are accepted, advertised, or rejected based on specific criteria such as prefix length, AS path, community values, or route attributes. It is important in BGP deployments to prevent the propagation of incorrect or unwanted routes, optimize routing table size, and enforce routing policies. Our next interview question is: what are BGP route dampening and route flap damping, and how do they mitigate route instability? Your answer should be BGP route dampening and route flap damping are techniques used to mitigate route instability caused by frequent route flapping or updates in BGP networks. Route dampening involves temporarily suppressing unstable routes based on their stability parameters such as the number of flaps and the decay interval. Route flap damping assigns penalties to unstable routes and suppresses them if they exceed certain thresholds, reducing the impact of route flapping on network stability. Our next interview question is: explain the concept of BGP route summarization and its benefits in service provider network. Your answer should be BGP route summarization, also known as aggregation, involves advertising a single summary route instead of individual routes to reduce the size of BGP routing tables and minimizing routing overhead. It helps improve scalability, reduce convergence time, and optimize routing table memory utilization in service provider networks. Our next interview question is, what are the different types of BGP peering relationships and when are they used? Your answer should be, the different types of BGP peering relationships include internal BGP, IBGP peering, external BGP, eBGP peering, and confederations peering. IBGP peering occurs between routers within the same autonomous system AS and is used to exchange routing information within the AS. eBGP peering occurs between routers in different ASs and is used to exchange routing information between ASs. Confederation peering is used in large ASs to divide the AS into smaller sub-ASs for better scalability. Our next interview question is, what is BGP PIC, prefix independent convergence, and how does it improve network convergence? Your answer should be, BGP PIC is a feature that enhances network convergence by pre-computing backup paths for BGP prefixes and installing them in the forwarding table to reduce the convergence time in case of a link or node failure. It improves network resiliency and reduces the impact of transient routing failures on traffic forwarding. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300-510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is, how does BGP prefix independent convergence (PIC) age enhance network resiliency in BGP deployments? Your answer should be, BGP prefix independent convergence (PIC) age is a feature that enhances network resiliency in BGP deployments by pre-computing backup paths for BGP prefixes at the edge of the network. It allows routers to quickly switch traffic to pre-computed backup paths in case of link or node failures, minimizing service disruption and improving network convergence time. BGP PIC age enhances network reliability by providing fast rerouting capabilities and reducing the impact of failures on traffic forwarding. Our next interview question is, what are the benefits of using BGP FlowSpec in BGP deployments and how does it enhance traffic filtering and control? Your answer should be, BGP FlowSpec flow specification enhances traffic filtering and control in BGP deployments by allowing routers to disseminate traffic flow specification rules. It enables routers to filter or redirect traffic based on various attributes such as source or destination IP address, source or destination port, protocol type, and packet length. BGP FlowSpec provides fine-grained control over traffic forwarding, allowing operators to mitigate DDoS attacks, implement traffic policies, and optimize network security and performance. Our next interview question is: explain the concept of BGP large communities and how they are used for policy control and route manipulation in BGP deployments. Your answer should be: BGP large communities are an extension to BGP communities that allow for the encoding of larger values, providing more flexibility and granularity in policy control and route manipulation. They are used in BGP deployments for traffic engineering, policy enforcement, and route tagging by defining specific behaviors or actions for routes based on community values. BGP large communities enable operators to implement complex routing policies, control route propagation, and influence traffic routing with finer granularity compared to standard BGP communities. Our next interview question is: what is BGP route origin validation ROV and how does it enhance network security in BGP deployments? Your answer should be: BGP route origin validation ROV is a security mechanism used to validate the origin AS autonomous system of BGP routes to prevent the propagation of unauthorized or spoofed routes. It enhances network security in BGP deployments by verifying the authenticity or route announcements and preventing the acceptance and propagation of invalid routes. BGP ROV helps mitigate BGP route hijacking, prefix hijacking, and other security threats by ensuring that only legitimate routes are accepted and propagated within the network. If you are preparing for any Cisco based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300 510. You can download the complete list of CCNA based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is: what is MPLS, that is multi-protocol label switching, and how is it used in service provider networks? Your answer should be: MPLS is a protocol agnostic routing technique used to speed up and shape network traffic flows. In service provider networks, MPLS is commonly used to provide traffic engineering, VPN services, and traffic prioritization through the use of labels attached to packets. Our next interview question is: explain the concept of MPLS VPN virtual private network and its advantages. Your answer should be: MPLS VPN is a type of VPN that uses MPLS technology to securely connect multiple sites or customers over a service provider network. MPLS VPN provides advantages such as scalability, traffic engineering, quality of service QoS support, and easy management of VPNs through a single network infrastructure. Our next interview question is, what is LDP, Label Distribution Protocol, and how does it work in an MPLS network? Your answer should be LDP is a protocol used in MPLS networks to establish and maintain label switched paths LSPs between routers. LDP works by distributing labels between routers, enabling them to forward packets based on labels rather than traditional IP routing. Our next interview question is, how does MPLS traffic engineering improve network performance and what are some of its components? Your answer should be MPLS traffic engineering allows service providers to optimize network resources utilization, avoid congestion, and improve network performance by dynamically routing traffic along predefined paths. Components of MPLS traffic engineering include Traffic Engineering Database TED, Constraint-Based Routing Label Distribution Protocol (CRLDP), and Resource Reservation Protocol Traffic Engineering (RSVP-TE). Our next interview question is, what is VRF, virtual routing and forwarding, and how is it used in MPLS VPN networks? Your answer should be VRF is a feature in Cisco routers that allows multiple routing tables to coexist within the same router. In MPLS VPN networks, VRF is used to isolate customer routing domains, enabling each customer to have its own private routing table and ensuring traffic separation and security. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300-510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is, what is BGP-SEC, BGP Secure Routing, and how does it enhance security in BGP deployments? Your answer should be BGP-SEC. BGP Secure Routing is a security extension to BGP that provides cryptographic verification of BGP route and announcements to prevent route hijacking and tampering. It enhances security in BGP deployments by enabling routers to validate the authenticity and integrity of BGP route updates using digital signatures and cryptographic certificates. BGP-SEC helps mitigate various security threats in BGP, including prefix hijacking, route injection, and BGP session hijacking by ensuring the trustworthiness and authenticity of BGP route information. Our next interview question is explain the concept of BGP PIC prefix independent convergence core and BGP PIC edge and how they enhance network resiliency in BGP deployments. Your answer should be BGP PIC prefix independent convergence core and BGP PIC edge are features that enhance network resiliency in BGP deployments by pre-computing backup paths for BGP prefixes. BGP-PIC core pre-computes backup paths at the core of the network, enabling routers to quickly switch traffic to pre-computed backup paths in case of link or node failures. BGP peak edge pre-computes backup paths at the edge of the network, minimizing service disruption and improving network convergence time during failures. Both features enhance network reliability by providing fast rerouting capabilities and reducing the impact of failures on traffic forwarding. Our next interview question is what are the differences between BGP route reflectors and BGP configuration and when are they used in BGP deployments? Your answer should be BGP route reflectors and BGP configurations are techniques used to scale IBGP deployments within large autonomous system AS. BGP route reflector reduces the IBGP mesh size by reflecting BGP route updates within the same AS, while BGP configurations divides the AS into smaller sub-ASs using eBGP peerings. BGP route reflector is typically used in hierarchical IBGP designs to reduce the complexity of IBGP peerings, while BGP configurations is used to segment the AS into smaller administrative domains for scalability and administrative purposes. Our next interview question is what is the BGP best external BGP BE feature and how does it improve BGP route selection in multi-homed environments? Your answer should be the BGP best external BGP BE feature is used in multi-homed environments to improve BGP route selection by prioritizing routes received from external BGP eBGP peers over routes received from internal BGP IBGP peers. It allows routers to prefer routes learned from external sources when selecting the best path to a destination prefix, ensuring efficient traffic routing and load balancing across multiple eBGP connections. BGP-BE helps optimize outbound traffic selection in multi-homed networks and improves network performance and reliability. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300 510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is: explain the difference between Layer 3 MPLS VPN and Layer 2 MPLS VPN. Your answer should be Layer 3 MPLS VPN, also known as MPLS IP VPN, provides IP-based connectivity between multiple sites or customers over a service provider network. Layer 2 MPLS VPN, also known as MPLS Layer 2 VPN or Virtual Private LAN Service VPLS, extends Layer 2 connectivity between sites or customers over the service provider network. Our next interview question is: what is the role of MPLS QoS quality of service in service provider networks? Your answer should be MPLS QoS ensures that different types of traffic receive appropriate treatment in terms of priority, bandwidth, and delay within an MPLS network. It allows service providers to offer differentiated services to customers and prioritize critical traffic flows such as voice or video over best effort traffic. Our next interview question is: how does MPLS TE traffic engineering work, and what are some of its benefits? Your answer should be MPLS-TE enables service providers to dynamically control and optimize traffic flows within their networks by computing and establishing traffic engineered paths based on specific constraints and requirements. Benefits of MPLS-TE include improved network resource utilization, optimized traffic distribution, and better support for quality of service QoS requirements. Our next interview question is: what is the difference between MPLS-TE tunnel types such as RSVP-TE and CR-LDP? Your answer should be RSVP-TE Resource Reservation Protocol Traffic Engineering and CR-LDP Constraints Based Routing Label Distribution Protocol are two tunneling mechanisms used in MPLS-TE. RSVP-TE relies on explicit path setup and signaling, while CR-LDP uses implicit path setup based on constrained routing. RSVP-TE is more flexible but requires additional signaling overhead, while CR-LDP is simpler but less flexible. Our next interview question is: how does MPLS Fast Reroute FRR enhance network resiliency, and what are its mechanisms? Your answer should be MPLS Fast Reroute FRR is a mechanism that provides fast protection against link or node failures in MPLS networks by pre-computing backup paths and rerouting traffic in case of a failure. Mechanisms of MPLS FRR include link protection, node protection, and facility backup, which help minimize service disruption and improve network reliability. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300 510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is: explain the purpose of BGP Auto Discovery BGP AD in BGP-based Layer 2 VPN deployments. Your answer should be BGP Auto Discovery BGP AD is a mechanism used in BGP-based Layer 2 VPN deployments to automate the discovery and advertisement of VPN membership information between provider edge PE routers. It enables PE routers to dynamically exchange VPN route target (RT) and route distinguisher (RD) information, facilitating the automatic establishment of Layer 2 VPN connections between customer sites without manual configuration. BGP-AD simplifies provisioning and management of Layer 2 VPN services, improves scalability, and reduces operational overhead in service provider networks. Our next interview question is: what is the BGP add path feature and how does it improve route selection and traffic engineering in BGP deployments? Your answer should be: the BGP add path feature allows BGP routers to advertise multiple best paths to the same destination prefix to their peers. It improves route selection and traffic engineering in BGP deployments by providing redundant paths and enabling routers to install and advertise multiple best paths in the routing table. BGP add path enhances network resiliency, optimizes traffic distribution, and improves load balancing across multiple paths, leading to better resource utilization and network performance. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of BGP Additional Path Selection APS and how does it enhance traffic engineering in BGP deployments? Your answer should be: BGP Additional Path Selection APS is a feature that enhances traffic engineering in BGP deployments by providing additional path options for traffic forwarding. It allows BGP routers to select and install multiple best paths to the same destination prefix in the routing table, enabling routers to perform traffic engineering based on various criteria such as path diversity, link utilization, and latency. BGP APS enhances network resiliency, improves load balancing, and enables more efficient traffic distribution across multiple paths, enhancing network performance and reliability. Our next interview question is: explain the purpose of BGP Best External, BGP BE, and BGP Best Internal BGP BI features in BGP route selection. Your answer should be BGP Best External, BGP BE, and BGP Best Internal BGP BI are features used in BGP route selection to prioritize routes received from external BGP eBGP peers and internal BGP iBGP peers respectively. BGP-BE prioritizes routes learned from external sources over routes learned from internal peers when selecting the best path to a destination prefix. BGP-BI, on the other hand, prioritizes routes learned from internal peers over routers learned from external sources. These features allows routers to optimize route selection based on the source of route advertisements, ensuring efficient traffic routing and load balancing in BGP deployments. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300-510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is: what is BGP, that is Border Gateway Protocol, and how is it different from other routing protocols? Your answer should be BGP is an inter-domain routing protocol used to exchange routing information between different autonomous systems ASs on the Internet. Unlike interior gateway protocols, IGPs such as OSPF and EIGRP, BGP is an exterior gateway protocol EGP that operates between multiple autonomous systems. Our next interview question is: explain the difference between eBGP and iBGP. Your answer should be external BGP. eBGP is used to exchange routing information between different autonomous systems ASs, while internal BGP iBGP is used to exchange routing information within the same AS. eBGP sessions typically occur between routers in different ASs, while iBGP sessions occur between routers within the same AS. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of route reflectors in BGP and how do they work? Your answer should be route reflectors are used in BGP to reduce the number of BGP pairings required in a network. They allow iBGP routers within the same AS to reflect routes to each other without establishing a full mesh of iBGP pairings. Route reflectors work by reflecting routes learned from one iBGP pair to other IBGP peers within the same AS. Our next interview question is, can you explain the concept of BGP communities and how they are used? Your answer should be, BGP communities are tags that can be attached to BGP routes to provide additional information or instructions to BGP routers within the network. They are used for policy control, traffic engineering, and routing manipulation. BGP communities are typically used to simplify the configuration of routing policies and to influence the behavior of other BGP routers in the network. Our next interview question is, what are the key considerations when designing a scalable BGP network? Your answer should be, scalability in BGP networks can be achieved through proper design and implementation of route aggregation, route summarization, BGP route filtering, route reflectors, and BGP peer groups. Additionally, using BGP communities for policy control and traffic engineering can help improve scalability and manageability. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300-510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is, how does BGP route aggregation help optimize BGP routing tables in large-scale networks? Your answer should be, BGP route aggregation, also known as route summarization, involves combining multiple BGP routes into a single summarized route to reduce the size of BGP routing tables and minimize routing overhead. It helps optimize BGP routing tables in large-scale networks by reducing the number of prefixes advertised and improving routing table scalability and convergence. Our next interview question is, what is BGP route dampening and how does it mitigate the impact of route instability in BGP networks? Your answer should be, BGP route dampening is a technique used to mitigate the impact of route instability caused by frequent route flapping in BGP networks. It involves temporarily suppressing unstable routes based on predefined stability parameters such as the number of flaps, reuse penalty, suppress limit, and decay interval, reducing the impact of route instability on routing convergence. Our next interview question is, what is the purpose of BGP route refresh and how does it address the issue of stale route information in IBGP deployments? Your answer should be, BGP route refresh is a mechanism that allows BGP routers to request an immediate update of their BGP routing table from a peer without tearing down in BGP session. It addresses the issues of stale route information in IBGP deployments by enabling routers to synchronize their routing tables without the need for a full session reset. Our next interview question is: explain the significance of the BGP maximum prefix limit and how is it used to prevent route table exhaustion. Your answer should be: the BGP maximum prefix limit is a configurable parameter that limits the number of prefixes a BGP router can receive from a peer. It is used to prevent route table exhaustion and potential memory issues by enforcing an upper limit on the number of prefixes a router can handle. When the maximum limit is reached, the router can take predefined actions such as resetting in BGP session or applying route dampening. Our next interview question is: what are BGP confederations and how do they address the challenges of scaling IBGP deployments in large autonomous systems? Your answer should be: BGP confederations are a technique used to scale IBGP deployments within a large autonomous system AS. In a confederation, the AS is divided into smaller sub-ASs and routers within each sub-AS peer with each other using eBGP. This reduces the IBGP mesh size, simplifying configuration and improving scalability. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300-510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is: explain the concept of MPLS quality of service QoS and how is it implemented in MPLS networks. Your answer should be: MPLS quality of service QoS ensures that different types of traffic receive appropriate treatment in terms of priority, bandwidth, and delay within an MPLS network. It is implemented using MPLS traffic engineering TE for traffic prioritization, diffserv for packet classification and marking, and MPLS QoS mechanisms such as traffic classifiers, traffic conditioners, and traffic policers. Our next interview question is: what are the advantages of using MPLS for VPN services compared to traditional IPsec VPNs? Your answer should be: some advantages of using MPLS for VPN services include improved scalability, traffic engineering capabilities, quality of service QoS support, and easier management of VPNs through a single network infrastructure. MPLS VPNs also provide better performance and security compared to traditional IPsec VPNs. Our next interview question is, how does MPLS Layer 3 VPN L3 VPN ensure privacy and isolation between different VPN customers? Your answer should be MPLS Layer 3 VPN L3 VPN ensures privacy and isolation between different VPN customers by using VRF, virtual routing and forwarding instances to maintain separate routing tables and forwarding tables for each customers. This prevents customer routes from being leaked or accessed by other customers in the same MPLS network. Our next interview question is, what is the role of MPLS Multicast VPN MVPN in service provider networks, and how does it enable efficient multicast routing? Your answer should be MPLS Multicast VPN. MVPN enables efficient multicast routing in service provider networks by allowing multicast traffic to be transported across MPLS networks while maintaining VPN privacy and isolation. It uses techniques such as MVPN, Multicast VPN, and PIM, Protocol Independent Multicast, to support multicast traffic distribution within and between VPNs. Our next interview question is, what is BFD, bidirectional forwarding detection, and how does it improve network convergence in BGP deployments? Your answer should be BFD is a lightweight protocol used to detect link failures and improve network convergence by quickly detecting and signaling failures to adjacent routers. In BGP deployments, BFD can be used to provide fast detection of BGP neighbor failures, reducing the convergence time and improving network reliability. If you are preparing for any Cisco based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300 510. You can download the complete list of CCNA based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is: explain the concept of BGP Next Hop Self and its significance in BGP configurations. Your answer should be BGP Next Hop Self is a configuration parameter used to modify the next hop attribute of BGP routes advertised to BGP neighbors. By default, BGP routes preserve their original next hop attributes when advertised to BGP neighbors. However, enabling BGP Next Hop self causes the advertising router to replace the next hop attribute with its own IP address, ensuring reachability to the next hop router across the BGP session. BGP next hop self is significant in scenarios where the next hop router is not directly connected to the advertising router or when performing BGP route reflection. Our next interview question is, what is BGP route redistribution and when is it used in the network deployments? Your answer should be, BGP route redistribution is the process of exchanging routing information between BGP and other routing protocols such as OSPF, EIGRP, or RIP to enable seamless communication between different parts of the network. It is used in the network deployments where multiple routing domains or protocols coexist, allowing BGP to learn routes from other protocols and vice versa. Our next interview question is, what is BGP synchronization and how does it impact BGP route advertisement in an AS? Your answer should be, BGP synchronization is a rule that prevents a BGP router from advertising a route learned via iBGP to an eBGP peer unless the route is known via an IGP interior gateway protocol within the AS. It ensures that routes learned from iBGP peers are synchronized with the IGP routing table, preventing the potential for routing loops. Our next interview question is, explain the concept of BGP route reflectors, route reflector clients, and non-client peers in the context of scaling iBGP deployments. Your answer should be, BGP route reflectors are routers within an AS that reflect BGP route updates to other routers within the same AS, reducing the need for a full maze of iBGP peerings. Route reflectors clients are routers configured to establish iBGP sessions with route reflectors to receive reflected routes. Non-client peers are routers within the AS that establish iBGP peerings with other routers without being clients of a router reflector. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300-510. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is, what is BGP PIC, Prefix Independent Convergence, and how does it improve network convergence in BGP deployments? Your answer should be, BGP PIC is a feature that improves network convergence in BGP deployments by pre-computing backup paths for BGP prefixes. It allows routers to quickly switch to pre-computed backup paths in case of a link or node failure, reducing the impact of failures on network convergence. Our next interview question is, how does BGP multipath enhance network resiliency and load balancing in BGP deployments? Your answer should be, BGP multipath allows routers to install multiple base paths to the same destination prefix in the routing table, enabling load balancing and enhancing network resiliency by providing redundant paths. It improves traffic distribution across multiple paths, optimizing network resource utilization. Our next interview question is, what are the advantages of using BGP route reflectors over a full mesh of IBGP pairings in large-scale networks? Your answer should be, some advantages of using BGP route reflectors over a full mesh of IBGP pairings in large-scale networks include reduced BGP session overhead, simplified configuration and management, improved scalability, and reduced memory and CPU requirements on routers due to fewer BGP pairings. Our next interview question is, explain the concept of BGP route filtering and how is it implemented in BGP deployments? Your answer should be, BGP route filtering is the process of controlling which BGP routes are accepted, advertised, or rejected based on specific criteria such as prefix length, AS path, community values, or route attributes. It is implemented in BGP deployments using techniques such as prefix lists, AS path access lists, route maps, and community lists to enforce routing policies and control route propagation. Our next interview question is, what are BGP communities and how are they used in BGP deployments for traffic engineering and policy control? Your answer should be, BGP communities are tags or labels attached to BGP routes to provide additional information or instructions to BGP routers within the network. They are used in BGP deployments for traffic engineering, policy control, and route manipulation by defining specific behaviors or actions for routes based on community values. If you are preparing for any Cisco based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA based interview questions and answers for Cisco Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions 300 510. You can download the complete list of CCNA based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Service Provider Advanced Routing Solutions is, what is BGP route dampening and how does it mitigate the impact of route instability in BGP networks? Your answer should be, BGP route dampening is a mechanism used to mitigate the impact of route instability caused by frequent route flapping in BGP networks. It involves assigning penalties to unstable routes based on their stability parameters such as the number of flaps, and the decay interval. Routes with high penalties are temporarily suppressed, reducing the impact of route instability on routing convergence. Our next interview question is, what are the differences between BGP peer group and BGP templates, and how are they used in BGP configurations? Your answer should be BGP peer groups and BGP templates are both used to simplify BGP configurations and apply consistent configuration parameters to multiple BGP neighbors. BGP peer groups allow multiple BGP neighbors to share common configuration parameters such as inbound and outbound policies and update intervals. BGP templates are predefined sets of configuration parameters that can be applied to multiple BGP neighbors, simplifying configuration management and ensuring consistency. Our next interview question is, how does BGP TTL security check protect against BGP session hijacking attacks, and how is it implemented in BGP deployments? Your answer should be BGP TTL time to leave security check is mechanism used to protect against BGP session hijacking attacks by verifying the TTL value of incoming BGP packets. It ensures that BGP packets have a valid TTL value within a certain range, indicating that they are originating from nearby neighbors and not from remote attackers attempting to hijack the BGP session. BGP TTL security check is implemented by configuring TTL security check parameters on BGP neighbors. Our next interview question is, what are the differences between BGP route reflection and BGP confederations, and when are they used in BGP deployments? Your answer should be BGP route reflection and BGP confederations are both techniques used to scale IBGP deployments within an autonomous system AS. BGP route reflection involves configuring certain routers as route reflectors to reflect BGP route updates to other routers within the same AS, reducing the number of required IBGP peerings. BGP configurations involve dividing the AS into smaller sub-ASs and using eBGP peerings between them to reduce the IBGP mesh size. Route reflection is simpler to implement but may lead to route reflection clusters, while confederations provide better isolation but require additional configuration. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below.